Hello, a warm welcome from SGT University. I am Dr. Aparna Dave from Faculty of Dental Sciences. Today we'll be discussing about developmental disturbances in shape of teeth. Dental anomalies are congenital malformations that can happen either as an isolated finding or as a part of syndrome. Developmental anomalies influencing the morphology can be seen in both deciduous and permanent dentition and may be present in different forms such as gemination, fusion, concrescence, dilaceration, talons cusp, dens invaginatus, dens evaginatus, taurodontism, supernumerary roots, enamel pearl. Now let's understand these disturbances. Gemination is an anomaly which arises from an attempt at division of a single tooth germ by invagination. This results in formation of completely or incompletely separated crowns with one root and one canal. Clinically, the crown is wider than normal with a shallow groove extending from incisal edge towards the cervical region. This gives an appearance of a bifid crown. Gemination can affect permanent or deciduous dentition. There is no increase or decrease in the number of teeth. That is, the total count is normal when the anomalous tooth is counted as 1. In those cases, when due to division, there is formation of 2 equivalent teeth or formation of one normal and one supernumerary tooth, we term it as twining. Fusion, also termed as synodontia, results from union of 2 normally separated tooth germs. Depending upon the stage of development of teeth at the time of union, fusion may be complete or incomplete. Complete fusion results when the contact of 2 teeth occurs before calcification starts, resulting in formation of a single large tooth. If the contact of 2 teeth takes place after a part of crown formation has taken place, then union of roots may only take place. Dentine is always confluent in case of true fusion, but there could be presence of separate or fused root canal. As far as total number of teeth is concerned, there is a decrease in number of teeth in jaw. That is, the tooth count is reduced when the anomalous tooth is counted as 1. Now let's see what is concrescence. Concrescence is a form of fusion which occurs after root formation has been completed and the 2 teeth are united by cementum. Concrescence can occur before or after teeth have erupted. Concrescence may occur if there is a space restriction for the tooth germs during development, or due to some traumatic injury, or maybe due to overcrowding of teeth. So if resorption of interdental bone takes place and after this there is formation of cementum between the 2 teeth, then it may result in union of the 2 teeth by cementum. Often, diagnosis is made on radiographic examination. Concrescence can pose problem during extraction. If one tooth needs to be extracted, it can result in extraction of other one too. Dilaceration is angulation or sharp bend in the root or crown of the formed tooth. Such curve or bend may form if there is some trauma that occurs during the period of tooth development, or this could be a developmental defect, or if there is a presence of an obstacle in the normal direction of growth. Curve or bending may take place anywhere along the length of tooth, maybe in the cervical portion or midway along the root or just at the apex of root. Such curve or bend creates problem during root canal treatment or during extraction. Talon's cusp is a projection lingually from cingulum area of a maxillary and mandibular permanent incisor. As it resembles eagle's talon, it has been termed as Talon's cusp. It may develop because of focal proliferation of tissue during development of crown, or it could be an exuberant development of the fourth lobe. The cusp blends smoothly with the tooth surface. A deep groove may be present where the cusp fuses with the underlying surface of tooth. It is composed of normal enamel, dentine, and at times pulp horn. Talon's cusp may cause occlusal interference. In an attempt to remove the occlusal interference, if the cusp is grinded, then it can lead to pulp exposure. Talon's cusp are common in people with Rubinstein-Tybee syndrome. Let's understand what is dens invaginatus and dens evaginatus. Dens invaginatus is a deep surface invagination of the crown or root that is lined by enamel. So during tooth formation, if there is invagination of the surface of crown before calcification starts, then it may result in formation of dens invaginatus. Such invagination can result from focal growth retardation of a portion of enamel organ, or if there is a focal growth stimulation in certain areas of enamel organ, or may be due to increased localized external pressure. More frequently, maxillary lateral incisors are affected. The depth of invagination varies. It could be a slight enlargement of cingulum pit to a deep infolding that extends to apex. Coronal dens invaginatus could be of three types. Type 1, invagination is confined to crown. Type 2, invagination extends below cemento-enamel junction. Type 3, invagination extends through the root. There can be an enfolding of Hertwig's epithelial root sheath leading to formation of radicular variety of dens invaginatus. In the area of invagination, food lodgement can occur, which may result in development of caries. Dens evaginatus, also termed as Lyong's premolar, is a condition that clinically appears like an accessory cusp or globule of enamel on occlusal surface seen between the buccal and lingual cusp of premolar. During early tooth development, in the area of crown formation, if there is a proliferation and evagination of an area of inner enamel epithelium, it will result in formation of dens evaginatus. Clinically, it appears as a tubercle on occlusal surface of affected tooth. It may consist of enamel, dentine, and at times some pulp extension. Dens evaginatus can cause occlusal interference. Grinding of this can result in exposure of pulp. Taurodontism is an anomaly where the body of tooth is enlarged at expense of root. As the appearance of such teeth can resemble like the teeth of cut chewing animals, it has also been referred as bull-like teeth. It is more common in permanent molars. Taurodontism may result from failure of Hertwig's epithelial root sheath to invaginate at proper horizontal level. The condition appears to be genetically controlled and familial in nature. Depending on the form of presentation, it is further classified into hypotaurodontism, mesotaurodontism, and hypertaurodontism. Hypotaurodontism is a milder form of taurodontism. In mesotaurodontism, bifurcation or trifurcation of the root can occur in middle of root. In hypertaurodontism, bifurcation or trifurcation can occur near apices of root. Taurodontism often gets noticed on radiographs where the extreme large pulp chamber with a great apico-occlusal height is seen. Pulp lacks usual cervical constriction. In some teeth, increased number of roots can form. These are supernumerary roots. For example, premolars or permanent molars may have an additional root. Supernumerary roots cause problem during root canal treatment where one of the canal may remain unobturated or they may break during extraction. So a proper radiographic evaluation is important prior to start of a procedure. Enamel pearl, also termed as enameloma, is a ectopic formation of enamel. It is frequently found near or in the bifurcation or trifurcation area of the roots of the teeth, near the cemento-enamel junction. It appears as yellowish white, spherical, globular structure. Diameter often ranges from 1 to 3 mm. They are commonly seen on roots of maxillary molars. Most of the time, enamel pearls are asymptomatic and are incidentally identified during routine radiography. So, today we have discussed about developmental disturbances in shape of teeth. Next time when we meet, we will be exploring other developmental disturbances of oral structures. Keep learning, keep growing. See you next time.